Life, the condition that distinguishes plants and animals from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. Game, an activity that one engages in for amusement or fun. I can't really explain the feeling that I seem to feel on a near daily basis currently. Probably describe it as hopelessness, perhaps. Can't help but get the feeling that nothing matters, like, at all. Almost as though everything we do is pointless. Now, initially, I tended to think that this was great. If nothing matters, then you have nothing to lose, right? And this mentality seemed to motivate me whenever I would feel as though everything was pointless. But as of recently, it's been doing the opposite. The turn of a new year often brings a huge sense of optimism and excitement, yet for me, it just makes me feel as if time is escaping my grasp. 2025. For me, it would have been 10 years since I left school come the summer. How did 10 years just pass me by like that? And how quickly will the next 10 years pass me by? I'm sure I'm not alone in this feeling though. Many people my age share this concern. That feeling that we need to make something of our lives now, while we are young enough to still have that fleeting freedom that slowly slips away with every passing year. But how do we make something of ourselves if we don't know who we are or what we want to do? It really feels like an impossible task. You are your own main character in your own game, except you're playing that game on what seems to be the hardest difficulty, with no HUD, no quest markers, no minimap, a limited inventory, limited resources, and a tutorial level that barely teaches you the late game controls. If you've made it this far, I'm sure you, like me, are far more self-aware than your average person, and that self-awareness means you pretty much can't enjoy anything, because although you are physically present, you always know that mentally you're not. We're always thinking about how we can change our lives for the future, or thinking about how we wish we could change things from our past. We're all aware about how unhealthy this is, we've been told a million times, but that doesn't change the way we think. I'm sure it would be lovely to be an NPC and just float through life with little to no care about anything or anyone, being able to be present at all times without thinking about anything else, but that's not who we are. The problem with the way we see the future is this: how are we going to make it there? And once we make it there, what do we do? Sometimes I think having kids will make me feel as though life will have some purpose. I've heard people talk about having kids and referring to it as a new chapter or new adventure or maybe even a new level, which does sometimes sound fulfilling, perhaps. On the other hand, however, it sounds like one of the worst things you could possibly do. How can you raise a mini version of yourself when you're still figuring things out for yourself? And with the way the world is now, could it be irresponsible even to have a kid? When you think about how you have to work to survive, yet your wages barely go anywhere, and your best shot of buying a house is via the inevitable death of your parents, it really doesn't seem worth it. Also, what if you do have kids and they get to the age you are now and they feel exactly the same way you feel, day after day, as though there is no real point to any of this? Now, I'm sure we'd all love to be able to raise kids in our own perceptions of an ideal world, but for the majority of us, it's simply not reality. Many of us will cease to live for ourselves. We get comfortable and we accept the existence that we fall into. Somewhere we lose ourselves. It starts off relatively small, accepting a mediocre job for mediocre money in a mediocre apartment, consumed by our environment that's mostly negative. We wake up, proceed with our usual routine, and then when we're brushing our teeth or sitting in traffic, we think, how did I end up here? It wasn't all that long ago when we were full of optimism, love, and a sense of adventure, when every day seemed to be carefree, when there were no responsibilities, no stresses, and no negative feelings. It really seems like somewhere along the way, we started to live someone else's life. Life really is the true definition of the game you can't pause. And what's more is that, for as many of us that there are in this vast open world, life is a single player game. All your progress, or lack thereof, is all your own doing. Sure, we have families, friends, partners, and pets, but only you are responsible for your own save file. But this is the way it feels to many of us anyway. So how are we meant to make it for ourselves in this game that we call life? Remember those big hefty Prima guidebooks you used to get to help you complete games from back in the day? Well, we're about to attempt to write one, except we're not going to make it as bulky, and unfortunately there won't be any pictures. When games get difficult, what do? In more modern times, we often look up guides on YouTube or ask our friends for help. But what did we do when we were kids? Try. 1. Learn by doing. Both life and video games lack a comprehensive guide. You learn as you go. Although this is very difficult for many of us on a daily basis, trying and failing is often the route to be able to succeed. When stuck on a level, we don't quit. We find a way to succeed. We can use this logic in real life too. Mistakes become valuable lessons for future decisions. 2. Customization and progression. When you first boot up any game, you have little to nothing, just like life. You can grow and improve over time and become stronger physically and mentally. You can also choose what you want to look like, mostly. Consider acquiring knowledge, honing skills, becoming fitter, and achieving personal growth in the same vein as how skill trees work, or how gaining XP works. Many people refer to aging as leveling up in real life, but what if we leveled up differently from our age? What if our own achievements and personal growth affected our level? What level could you be? 3. Exploration and open world freedom. Life is like an open world game. You make choices that shape your journey. In games, you decide which quests to take, which paths to explore, and how to interact with NPCs. In life, your choices determine your relationships, career paths, and personal priorities. Want to travel somewhere exciting to you? Why not go? 4. Unexpected events. Both randomness and unpredictability add complexity to games and life. In games, the difficulty can spike. Random encounters, sudden boss fights, and unforeseen story events can be relatable to real-life challenges. Life can throw curveballs, and you often have to figure out how to deal with them. Have you increased your mental strength stat high enough to deal with life's troubles? 5. Multiplayer aspects. Contrary to what I stated previously, life itself can be a multiplayer game, if you allow it to be. Many games have co-op missions that require teamwork in order to progress. In life itself, it's sometimes necessary to ask for help. We might not want to admit it due to feelings of pride, a fear of being judged, or trust issues. But hey, even Link needed help to defeat Ganon. Relationships, friendships, teamwork, and social dynamics are comparable to co-op events in games. 6. Finite time. Both life and story-driven video games have to end, encouraging us to make the most of the experience. Games end when you finish the story, and the mortality of life reminds us to cherish moments and strive for meaning. Although it is difficult to find meaning in this modern world, it is essential. Find what is important to you and pursue it. 7. No restart or pause button. The major difference between life and a game is that life doesn't offer save points, restarts, or pauses, making every decision count more profoundly. In a game, the story's end motivates players to savor the experience, explore thoroughly, and tackle every challenge. Without an ending, a game would lose its sense of urgency and meaning. Similarly, in life, the knowledge that time is finite pushes us to cherish the moments, build relationships, and pursue passions that give our journey significance. Mortality, while daunting, is also the driving force behind our quest for meaning. So, what is the key takeaway from all this? The inevitability of the end shouldn't diminish the value of the experience. It should instead amplify it. Life can be difficult for many of us, and that's okay. The easy games are boring, right? At the end of the day, life may not come with cheat codes, save points, or respawns, but maybe that's what makes it the most extraordinary game of all. Everything we do, everything we experience, and every choice we make shapes our own unique stories in ways we're unable to predict. So, As you continue to play the game of life, remember, it's okay to fail, to struggle, and take your time leveling up. What's important is to keep exploring, savoring small victories, and remembering that it's not always about the destination or the journey, but the company we share along the way. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep playing your hearts out.